It always seems impossible until it is done.
A 5-minute drive, and then the doors open at 12:30.
My focus is in.
Okay.
More than just being around the event.
Right.
I mean, I'll get to the event when he's at the event.
Yeah. Then you'll get it then.
This is the calm before the storm. I'm trying to pre-visualize what I might capture, even though I've never met the senator and have no idea what the location looks like. Now I get into this quiet contemplative zone where the rest of the world gets shut out and my brain is hyper-focused, running through a million different scenarios. Now I'm thinking about what lenses I want to use, where and when. I'm thinking about what settings I need to double check. I'm slightly anxious, but still on the calm side. Now, the anxious part is more of the excitement, knowing what I'm about to photograph. So what am I looking at? I'm running through basically my pre-flight checks. Am I set to RAW? Do I have the buttons laid out the way that I want them? And I'm getting a little anxious, but this is truly the calm before the storm. Once the senator is on site, it's go time until it's not. Do I get nervous before a shoot? Well, yes, I still get that slight tinge of nerves leading up to every shoot that I do. The reason is I put so much pressure on myself to deliver time and time again. Will I be able to do it again? Will I get those winning shots? But as soon as it's go time, all of that disappears and I'm hyper-focused on doing what I do best, which is capturing the photo story that presents itself. And like that, it all begins. No introduction needed, just go time. Time to capture the moments and tell the story. Now, I attempted to grab a few shots of the senator as he walked by on the way to the holding room. Everything was coordinated. The team knew I was there, and this was the first time placing eyes on any of them in person. It feels more like controlled chaos. There's so many moving parts and people moving all at once. We all know stealing isn't right, but when it comes to photography, I do try to steal a few shots whenever I can. In these situations, you try not to make eye contact. Now I get it. I have big hair and my arms are kind of big, but you need to move with purpose. Get the shot and move on. Don't hang around too long. You just have to get the shot and then move on. These are the photos that you want to capture and share. The behind-the-scenes moments that very few people will ever get to capture or experience in person. Now, I like to call them the real deal photos because nothing's staged, nothing's made up. What you see is exactly what was happening. It's a privilege to get access to something that many never get to experience. From this point on, I'm in shooting mode, or as I like to say, in the zone. You know how athletes get in the zone or are dialed in? That's what happens to me. I get hyper-focused. Outside sounds and distractions fade away as I concentrate fully on reacting quickly and capturing the moments that present themselves. A clutch is a small meeting or discussion that happens right before a campaign rally. It's filled with either students from local colleges or other supporters. Now, how it works is the senator listens to their concerns, answers their questions, and shares the vision for his plans. It's actually pretty cool when you think about it. You're sitting and interacting in a room with a potential presidential candidate. Now, clutches may not be the most glamorous thing to photograph, but it does give me a chance to capture some new angles. Now, my biggest takeaway from the first clutch was watching the senator's face light up as he interacted with all of the people. These clutches aren't always easy to get solid images. Sometimes they're held in classrooms, other times boardrooms, other times outside. It's not always glamorous, but what I'm looking for are images that capture emotions, reactions like smiling and intently listening. I'm looking for more than just a snapshot. That's why I move around so much and change lenses. It's like I'm searching for the images. I want to find that angle and reaction of the senator and then bam, capture it.
Thank you guys. Let's do a quick photo. Alright, we got one behind the center. Look it up here. We got over here. Okay, perfect. Alright.
I'm not out here to get the grip and grins or the setup photos. The senator's photographer is already out here doing that. He has the tough job of capturing those types of images, processing them quickly from his phone most of the time, and then sending them back to the campaign so that they can get them out into the world. As I've said many times before, I'm here for the candid moments. Do I feel any competition with Brian while I'm out there? And the answer to that is no, because we have two different focuses. The truth is, we look out for each other. I don't want to bone his shot and he doesn't want to bone mine. You honestly have to work together because you're both there to get the job done. It's just us. Literally, it's me and the senator and maybe another person, but I'm that close and able to get the images. It's honestly amazing how focused he is, and beyond that, he doesn't pay any attention to what I'm doing. And I love how he gets into this contemplative state, hands behind his back, head down thinking, reviewing his notes, and he's just focusing. I know what that focusing is like, because I hyper-focus when I'm shooting, but I'm still super aware of what's around me. It's kind of like the world is running in slow motion, but I'm still going at regular speed. Now, because of this, I feel like I'm able to see the images before they happen, and when they do present themselves, I'm able to capture them.
We are going to elect the next president of the United States, Senator Bernie Sanders. Thank you, and here he is.
The other cool thing is watching the senator go from this calm and collective state to as soon as he walks through that curtain, it's 100% go time.
Here in Iowa, you did something even more important than that. What you said, voting first in the country.
The first primary state is Iowa, and that's why the senator has spent so much time there campaigning, because a good early showing there could be the difference between winning the nomination or not. Going into the first speech, I truthfully didn't have much in mind since I didn't really know what was going to happen. I knew that my focus was not getting those basic canned shots of the senator giving his speech. Now sure, those are good photos to have, and I will get those at some point, but those are pretty much photos that anyone with a press pass or attending the event can get. I want context. I want something different. I want to find the story that most people will never see. I already captured an image of the senator walking through the curtain on his way to the stage. Now I wanted to build off of that first shot. I'm always trying to find those different angles that might be unique and help tell that photo story. Then a gust of wind blew open the curtain ever so slightly and gave me a peek at the senator giving his speech on stage, and that acted as a natural frame which added to the photo story. The thing I've learned with photographing everything from athletes to musicians on stage to now the senator is I don't worry if someone sees me taking photos. I just move quietly, but with purpose. You of course still need to be extremely selective about where you go and when, but when you get rewarded with those solid keeper images, it's well worth it. Just remember, you are not the show. You get your shot, and then you move on. One thing I didn't want to focus too heavily on was the basic photo of the senator on stage with the supporters behind him. But anytime you see a big American flag to the side and you're able to frame the senator with the flag as the backdrop, you have to capture that for the photo story. It's interesting to see the diversity of the crowd who comes out to an event like this. You have old and young people, as well as people of many different races and backgrounds, and they're all there to hear the senator speak. You can see and feel the passion in the room, the smiles on people's faces. They're hanging on every single word that the senator is saying. And I'm fascinated by the diverse group of people who come out to support the senator. Does the mood in the room affect my shooting? Well, even with all that's going on around me, I still stay focused on the photography aspect. Now, sure, you can feel the energy all around you, but my camera has always acted as an emotional shield. When you're capturing images, you need to be present, but you need to lock away those emotions, as tough as that sounds, because you still need to focus and react to capturing the moments as they happen. If you get too wrapped up in the emotion, you may end up missing the shot. The chaos continues with the press photographers. One of the things that enables me to get different images than the press is that I have all access and freedom to run around backstage, on stage, and pretty much anywhere else within reason. Now, it's taken me a long time to get that access, but I do have some advice for photographers out there. Try to find those different angles. When everyone else goes right, try to go to the left. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, but you don't want to get the same snapshots as everybody else.
Thank you all very much.
The rope line is a classic campaign tradition. It's a chance for supporters to get close to their candidate, to get a handshake, a hug, a pat on the back, and even a selfie. It's amazing seeing the senator's face light up as he makes his way through the rope line. But with every rope line comes a heightened sense of chaos for everyone involved. The press photographers are rolled back through, extra staff is brought in to manage any potential issues, and the senator's security is on high alert for anything and everything. So as a photographer in the fray, you have to be able to maneuver around and take photos at the same time, because you're in tight spaces with multiple photographers and videographers all trying to capture the same exact thing. But that's also the fun and challenging part about it. Seeing where you can move in closer and then back away, getting the shot and then moving on to something else. Switching lenses and moving to a higher or lower angle. You have to keep moving as a group. And then before you know it, you're at the end of the line and headed backstage on the other side of the curtain. And at that point, the main portion of the rally is over. But the event isn't over just yet, because there's still more hands to shake and people to meet after the event. Before we rolled out to the next event, there was still one more group of people that the senator needed to meet. This time around, it's a group of campaign volunteers and supporters. Now, I wanted to find a different angle and get those true behind-the-scenes moments and the final interactions at this campaign stop. But there is one thing that's running through my head, and as the event is about to finish, that's all I can think about, is that I must be in the press van by the time the senator's door closes, or I run the risk of being left behind. And the last thing that I want to do at the first campaign stop is be left behind.
Hands up, 3, 2, 1! Woo! Perfect, got it, thank you.
All right, thank you all.
buddy.
Sometimes you just don't see the images. And at this clutch, it wasn't a great space, it didn't have great light, and I wasn't feeling anything that I was seeing. The images don't always present themselves, and if they're not there, you don't have to shoot just to shoot. But if you are there, you better be prepared if something jumps out that you need to capture. Let me jump in here real quick and say I hope you're enjoying the documentary so far. I wanted to share with you that I created a limited edition coffee table photo book chronicling my time on the campaign trail with Bernie. Now, if you think this photo book looks big, that's because it is big. It measures in at 14 inches tall by 10.5 inches wide and weighs just over 6 pounds. Now, I've selected the best 100 images and chose to print them large across the pages. This is not some cheaply printed or bound photo book, it's the real deal. You can grab your signed limited edition copy right now at BerniePhotobook.com. While you're there, you can also download the PDF of the book and access my 3-hour-long audio commentary where I break down the stories behind each and every photo in the book for free. There's also behind-the-scenes videos of the making of the book so you can see how the bread is baked. So if you'd like to grab your signed photo book, head on over to BerniePhotobook.com. Now, let's get back to the documentary. These are the moments to capture, the ones that really tell a story in a single frame. You start to notice things, and one of those things is how the senator gets ready for a speech. He has his notes in hand, generally behind his back, and his head is slightly down as he listens and contemplates. This is the calm before the storm, the true calm before the storm. And anyone who's ever performed, played sports, or waited to enter a room until you were called knows this exact moment. The moment when so many things are running through your head, the moment when you get subtle butterflies that let you know you're still alive. The senator has this deep focus, and then he's introduced, and it's go time. I love having all access because you're part of the crew. You're known by all the security and staff, and you can just focus on working and not worry about being stopped. It feels really good to be a part of the team. So how do you tell a complete photo story? One of the things that I try to do is cover as many angles as possible. Now I want to capture the wides, the mediums, the tights, and the details, but it's those wide shots that help establish the overall story.
Thank you all very much.
The delicate dance between photographers, videographers, staff, security, and supporters begins again. This time around, it's even quicker and tougher to get the shots. A newborn being held by their mother caught my eye. Now, I wanted to capture this interaction as we always see politicians with babies. Now, how cool is it to see a baby's eyes light up as a senator approaches? Think about this for a second. If the senator does become president, this photo will take on a whole new meaning for that child. Think about it. How cool is it that the campaign chose to forego the motorcade in order to walk to the next rallying point, which was only a few blocks away? Imagine if a president wanted to do the same thing. Now, walking shots are and can be kind of cool, because sometimes no one is around, and other times someone is stopping the senator who's on a bike. And honestly, he makes time for everyone, even if we're in a rush. These are the images that you capture now and hope one day, if he's president, that you look back on and you go, wow, that's not a scene that you will ever see again. There was no holding area for the next rally, which was being held in a restaurant, so the senator and staff waited outside in the parking lot. I love being able to capture the wide shot that encompasses the entire team. You have the senator, you have his staff and security, and they're all waiting as the daylight is slowly fading away. And the other thing that I found funny was seeing the senator's reaction to all the bumper stickers on the cars in the parking lot. It also gave the senator a brief moment where he cracked a few jokes with one of his staffers. The next venue was just a simple restaurant, and most of the photographers and video team went inside before me because they knew that it was going to be a tight squeeze. Now, I chose to hang back because I was busy changing lenses, which actually turned out to be a good thing, because I followed the senator and his team in the back exit through a very interesting kitchen to a small hallway where he waited for go time. This is by no stretch a glamorous location, but it does help show you what really goes on behind the scenes. It's back entrances, kitchens, freight elevators, parking lots, and more. And as the senator tends to do before every speech, he's preparing and thinking with his head down and his hands nestled behind his back. And what I love about this image is how glamorous it is not. From the top, there's the ceiling tiles, to the walls, to the floor, to the paint, to all of it. But then again, it shows you that it's not all glamorous. This is the calm before the storm. Situations like this are tough, so I decided to look for something different and ducked back into the kitchen area where I found one of the staffers busy working on his phone. He so happened to be perfectly framed by the doorway.
Alright, does he need help with selfies? What? Does he need help with selfies in a minute? That's what Will said. About a minute left. He's closing up now.
If anybody would like to do a quick selfie, I'm here.
Back in the day, everybody wanted an autograph, but today, everybody wants a selfie, even if the quality isn't that good, because it's more about the moment captured than getting a perfect image. Now, my goal was to show the interactions as well as the Bernie sign in the foreground. The chaos of the handshake and selfie line is actually tempered down by great teamwork. There's someone who takes the phone and hands it off to the person who takes the picture, who then hands it off to another person that hands it back to the person whose phone it actually was. The senator said that he would stay and take a photo with everyone, and he certainly did. This is all able to happen because they have it down to a science at this point. I knew as soon as I walked into the kitchen the first time that I wanted to get a picture of the senator coming back out when we were leaving. The truth is, I actually didn't know if the senator would be walking through the door first or if it would be somebody else. Now, I saw exactly how I wanted to capture the image in my mind. Now I simply needed all of the pieces to fall into place to actually capture the image if it presented itself. And guess what? It did. Now, it wasn't exactly how I envisioned it, but I do love this photo. I love the door frame and the leading lines and the way that the kitchen looks. And again, it shows you the not so glamorous aspects of the campaign trail. As a photojournalist, it's my job to capture everything exactly the way that I see it. It's real and it's raw. The one thing you can't forget to do on the road is eat. So at the end of the day, we stopped at a local steak place where the senator decided to sit in the main room amongst all of the patrons. This is one of those times that you don't take a lot of photos. You kind of grab your image and then you move on. What I really like about this image is that the senator is sitting with everybody else. Again, think of it as if he were the president. You just don't see this type of thing happening every day.
Hey, Senator, good to see you again. You coming from the baseball game?
You might think that interviews are done in some fancy studio, but it's really just done in a meeting room at the hotel. It's actually pretty cool to see what you can do with a few posters on the wall. They get a few minutes to ask their questions before the senator moves on to the next interview. It's actually pretty cool to be behind the scenes and watch all of these interactions unfold. There is something that I want to point out, that our days start super early. It's not simply roll up on a rally, then speak, and then roll out and the day is over. It is an all-day event. I talk a lot about the team, so I capture photos of them anytime I get the chance. While we were waiting for the senator to finish up his interviews, the staff was busy handling business from across the state as well as the country.
We're coming here, we're flying to Polin, and we're flying back here.
It's always a good idea to shine the light on the faces that make a campaign tick. Now, I knew we would be rolling out in a few minutes, and I had an idea for an image, a photo of the senator walking alone, rolling his own bags to the car. Now, to prepare for this photo, I needed to head outside before everybody else started to move. But what happened next, I wasn't expecting. However, I was prepared. I quickly locked my focus on the senator and ended up with what I like to call the entourage shot. Now, the reason I love this image so much is one, the composition with how the team formed a flying V, and 2, the senator always handles his own bags. Now I know this might not seem like a big deal to some, but I keep coming back to the fact that he is just a regular person like the rest of us. Here's the rub. I not only wanted to show the senator rolling his bags to the car, but also him opening the door. But I knew once his door was closed that the lead press vehicle had to start rolling. So at that point, I heard Brian yelling, "Get in the car, let's go!" I grabbed my bag and jetted towards the open van door. I hopped inside, and before the door was closed, we were off. I wanted to get the shot, but I also didn't want to be left behind. I got the shot. It's time to head over to the first rally of the day. Now, once we arrived, we were whisked directly to the first clutch, where the senator met with some college students. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, doesn't this get old? Well, you have to remember it's new to those students. And when you see their faces light up as they interact in close quarters with the senator, it's always a sobering sight. After the clutch, it was time to move to the hold area outside of the auditorium. Now, one thing I like to focus on are those walking shots, because when you capture them at the right angle, you make the subject look larger than life. In this case, I literally placed myself in the middle of the hallway as everybody was moving towards me. Now I have 2 choices as they get closer. Either I bail off to the side after I snap a few photos, or I stay in the same spot and keep shooting and hope I don't get run over. The calm before the storm happens right before the senator turns the corner to go speak. Now this is the quiet contemplation, the running over the stump speech, and I'm sure there's a million different things going through his mind. I love the isolation of this image. Standing in the hall mentally preparing before it's go time. It's just me and the senator. On this side of the wall, it's quiet and calm. And on the other side, we have a crowd that's about to erupt. Let me jump in here real quick and say I hope you're enjoying the documentary up to this point. And if you really love the photos that you're seeing and you want to get a coffee table photo book like this, head on over to BerniePhotobook.com right now to get your limited edition signed copy of this book right here. Now, let's get back to the documentary. As I've said before, you can't forget to stop and eat when you're on the road. Now, the senator chose a small local diner for lunch. I personally love getting photos in these real-world situations. The only issue is I have to get inside before the senator or I'll miss the shot that I see in my mind. What I love about this photo is it gives you a true look behind the scenes. It's a small-town diner with 6 or 7 booths and a few bar stools. And I love seeing the person on the right-hand side swiveling around on a stool to see who just walked in. And the woman on the left-hand side is like, is that Bernie Sanders? To me, images like this are what I live for. It's not the thing you're used to seeing, but it captures the real nature of the campaign trail. Now, you quickly realize this campaign isn't about being glamorous. It's about being as real as possible. What you see is in fact what you get. One of the key photos I wanted to capture was a portrait of the senator. Now, I was told that that probably wasn't going to happen, but then again, some things seem impossible until they're done, right? We made a quick stop in a drugstore parking lot to film a commercial about drug prices in the United States. Now, if there was ever going to be a chance to steal a portrait, this was going to be it. Now, as the senator was preparing for the shoot, I got out the lens I wanted to use, tested my exposure on the rest of the staff, got everything set because I knew if I got the chance, I would only get one opportunity. And then came the nod from his deputy campaign manager.
He's gonna hit this spot. Yeah, that's their spot, so that spot's in the same spot. Yep. That's all you.
So I walked up to the senator and I asked if I could get a quick portrait.
I'm just doing a headshot straight on.
A few seconds later, I got the shot. Or did I? Because when I started to review the images, I realized that I missed the focus and it was locked on his glasses, leaving his eyes completely out of focus. So that was my one chance to get the portrait, and I blew it. As the senator began filming, I was standing there in despair, running through the entire moment trying to figure out how did I miss my focus. Luckily, the team noticed something that they needed to fix. So at that point, I walked up to the senator and I asked, could I redo the portrait? Now this time, I locked on the eyes, took a bunch of pictures, and a few seconds later, you want to talk about the chaos on the campaign trail? It's getting 6 seconds to do a portrait. Fine, it's a total of 16 seconds between my mess up and the redo, but thankfully I stayed calm after I made that mistake and still found a way to get the photograph. The interesting thing about the car and the motorcade is when you hop into a car after an event, it's kind of like a reprieve from the chaos because you have a chance to relax ever so slightly, sometimes for a few minutes or even for a few hours depending on how long the drive is. Now, I like to catch up on charging batteries, transferring files, catching up on emails or social media, or simply just looking out the window and being present in the moment and reminding myself how lucky I am that I get to do what I do. Next stop, Colorado, where the campaign was expecting a huge rally later on in the day. Now, speaking of busy schedules, holding multiple rallies and events in one state, only having to get to another state to finish the day with yet another rally? The logistics and teamwork that goes into running any campaign is simply crazy. Clutch after clutch, rally after rally, it is non-stop. As you know by now, I love candid behind-the-scenes images, but in the last few days, we mostly had indoor rallies, which made the crowd photos not really pop in my mind. But with how many people they were expecting in Denver, that was all about to change. What I'm looking for are potential angles that might give me the best images. Is it from one of the two press risers? Maybe it's from the massive ladder behind the stage, or tucked right along the front of the stage. This time around, I chose to start on the press riser because I wanted to try and capture the senator and the massive crowd framed by the Capitol building in the background. What I love about this image is that it captures the senator with his fist in the air, along with the expressions and reactions of the people there that are showing their support. And I actually didn't realize that people were holding up big letters spelling out Bernie until I was editing the images later on in the day. Well, sometimes you're rewarded with happy accidents just like that one.
Thank you, Denver. You look beautiful tonight.
I then quickly made my way through the crowd to the backstage area and finally to the stage, where I ran into a little issue. Now, this issue wasn't with security or anyone else. It was actually an issue in my own mind. See, what was happening was I was having trouble seeing what the next image should be. I didn't want to capture what I find to be one of those boring snapshots from the pit area, but I didn't know what I should focus on. And then it hit me as I saw the light pass behind the senator. I could do a silhouette. That was the spark I needed. And there is no doubt in anyone's mind who's speaking when you look at this image. The great part about having all access is that I don't have to rush to find the photo that I'm looking for because I can spend a lot more time trying to find it. I also didn't have to worry about press photographers because they were already out of the pit by this point. My entire focus could go to finding the right angle. And wouldn't you know it, the right angle included the rays of the setting sun behind the courthouse.
Nelson Mandela said something which was extraordinarily profound, and he said, quote, "It always seems impossible until it is done." It always seems impossible until it is done. In other words, our job is to have a vision.
As the senator was wrapping up his speech, I needed to move into place to get what turned out to be the final few images in our non-stop 48-hour trip. Since I already captured the wide shot from the press riser, the detail shot from the pit, now it was time to get on stage just as the senator was waving goodbye.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, Denver.
Talk about chaos. There's thousands of supporters screaming at the top of their lungs with multiple photographers jumping on the stage. And to be honest with you, I don't even hear the noise because I'm so focused. Everything seems to move in slow motion, even though it's clearly happening super fast. My goal for the last photo was to get the senator who was facing me waving to the supporters behind the stage as he walked towards the stairs. Well, there's multiple stairs, and he chose to walk to the ones on the left. That's the parting shot, and I feel it's fitting that it's black and white. Now, I love the stillness and deep focus of the senator, because in the midst of this jubilant and chaotic scene, he looks determined and focused. While the senator was quickly going through the rope line, I was sprinting through the building to get to the motorcade before everyone else. Now, since this was the end of the line for me, I had to rescue my bags before the motorcade rolled out. And a few seconds after grabbing my bags, I turned around to see the senator and the staff making their way towards the motorcade. As soon as the door closed, the motorcade pulled out, and just like that, he's off to the next destination, and I'm waiting for an Uber to go to the airport to catch my red-eye home. Now that I have a few moments to reflect on the last 48 hours, all I can think of is what it must be like to be the president's photographer. Now, some might say that's an impossible dream, but guess what? It always seems impossible until it's done.